So I'm going to just be answering some general questions that are some of the top questions I get in my community Facebook group. So obviously I'm here on my main page, but we also have the Myers Way Facebook group, which certainly if you're following any of the programs, you can join, ask to join that group, and I'll be answering those questions. Cassava is a root. I ate a lot of it actually when I was in the Peace Corps in Paraguay, but it's mandioca or mandioc or cassava are the names that it comes from. Yes, so there are some studies showing that S. boulardii or Saccharomyces boulardii, which is really a yeast that's supposed to help fight yeast, has been shown to help prevent antibiotic-associated diarrhea, as well as something called C. diff. So that there have been some studies with that. The other thing that I typically say about taking probiotics is you can take your general regular probiotic, whatever you take, just make sure you're taking it at least 2 to 3 hours away from your antibiotic, so that the antibiotic is, not killing as much off of that good bacteria. And I recommend doubling up on your probiotic as well if you have to take antibiotics. The reason that I have on my 30-day programs people to avoid caffeine is several-fold. The first being that many people are hyped up on sugar and caffeine or drinking alcohol to calm down and relax. And I'm trying to get these mood-altering substances out of your body so that you can really see how you feel without any of this. A lot of people will come to me and say, oh yeah, I'm not tired, but they have 3 cups of coffee in the morning or 3 double, espressos. And so they're not tired. Well, who's going to be tired on 3, huge double latte espressos? I don't drink coffee, so I don't even know what all these things are called. So who's not going to be tired? But then when they get off the caffeine, they realize like, oh my God, I was dragging. I could barely get out of bed. So that's the number one reason, is just so that we can get you to a baseline so you know how you're feeling, good, bad, indifferent, no different, whatever. The second is because many people who are dealing with autoimmune issues, particularly thyroid issues, also have adrenal issues. And of course, caffeine is like adrenaline, and it's going to affect your adrenal glands. And so for a lot of people with health issues, particularly autoimmunity, we're trying to calm the adrenals so that we can, lower the stress and reshift the immune system and support the immune system. And then, many people are dealing with yeast issues, mold issues, and coffee beans and even tea leaves tend to be very moldy because of, how they're stored. So that would be why, certainly after you've recovered, you're feeling better, you're not dependent on caffeine. If you want to have a cup of coffee a day, I'm not gonna tell you I never have a cup of coffee. I do certainly have a cup of coffee here and there. I don't do super well with caffeine, so I don't drink lots of coffee. I mean, it's, once or twice a month, I might have a cup of coffee. So I don't have a problem with you having a cup of coffee if you can tolerate it okay and you're not, dependent on it. So I certainly don't want to say it's normal to feel worse, and it really depends where you're coming in from. If you're somebody who naturally already is eating a diet rich in whole foods, you're not eating, drinking a lot of coffee, eating a lot of sugar, eating a lot of packaged foods that your body needs to, sort of detox from. I mean, they're addictive. In fact, there was being in Australia recently, we visited some kangaroos, and my husband somehow was looking at the news, and there was an article recently about people feeding kangaroos McDonald's, which is such a crime, but anyway, and how these kangaroos were getting super aggressive with people because they were wanting the food and they were becoming addicted to sugar. Sugar is addictive. So it's like any kind of drug. As you're weaning from it, you could feel worse, and it can be die-off. So it certainly could just be detoxing, die-off. But the goal is not to feel worse, right? So if you are feeling bad, ease up. If you're giving up caffeine or sugar, maybe ease into it a little bit more. Never believe that you really need to feel bad to feel good. You can also try things like glutathione that helps with detox pathways. The charcoal that we have that helps bind up things like yeast if you're having that type of die-off, or other toxins that might be getting released, as you're detoxing and losing weight. You know, a lot of toxins are stored in our fat, so they come out. So it's why, you know, this is really more of a way of life and much more gentle than some of these things where people go fasting for several days or just do a juice cleanse or something like that for several days, and they have really bad reactions. So the cookbook is definitely not designed specifically for low FODMAPs. You know, there are garlic and onions in some of the recipes that typically are not allowed on a low FODMAPs. Certainly, if you want to remove those from a recipe, you can make them low FODMAPs. We just didn't put them in the back in the in that special diet because, you know, it kind of looked like there were a lot of alterations that you'd have to make, and it didn't seem super positive for people. But certainly if you're on that and you're up for making those modifications yourself on the recipes, absolutely, there are recipes that are naturally low FODMAPs or could be made low FODMAPs. Better absorbed without food. Typically we do that in the order suggested, but there's not, you know, there's not a requirement. I mean, figuring out the underlying root cause. You know, I had really bad insomnia when I had Graves' disease. So understanding I was up at 6 a.m. because I just got back from New Zealand and Australia, and my clock is all off, and I have a few things I'm dealing with at the office. So when that happens, I tend to be up early. So, you know, just kind of knowing what those triggers are for you. What works really well for me when I'm having issues sleeping, which doesn't happen too often these days, is taking melatonin that we have, the sustained release melatonin. But really what I recommend is figuring out your root cause of why you're having the insomnia. Is it stress? Is it an environmental toxin? Is it, you know, something like Graves' disease? And then also, you know, supporting yourself. Magnesium can be really helpful. Stress relieving activities, getting in a hot bath, a hot sauna, drinking a hot cup of tea. So all of these things can be really, really helpful for insomnia. But it's like stress, finding the root cause. So alopecia depends, you know, certainly you can have alopecia for a whole host of reasons. If you have, you know, alopecia universalis, alopecia areata, those are considered autoimmune disorders, which are inflammatory conditions. Can it be reversed? Yes, I have seen it be reversed. It is that and vitiligo are two of the more difficult autoimmune conditions to get reversed. Have I had people in my clinic be reversed? Yes. Have I had people, you know, email and tell me that they followed the program and had it reversed? Absolutely. Have I had people that got frustrated and left my clinic and later sent me emails saying I finally did XYZ and it was reversed? Yes, it can. I mean, I have seen it be reversed. I can never make a promise that any autoimmune condition can be reversed, but like other autoimmune conditions, the hair can grow back and this pigment can go back into your skin. Carol, that's an awesome question. So absolutely, these are just delicious recipes in and of themselves. So absolutely, you do not need to have an autoimmune condition. And if you have any other chronic condition, diabetes, any other inflammatory condition, this cookbook is awesome. If you're looking to prevent autoimmunity, it's awesome. But this is just real, wholesome food that is low in toxins and low in inflammatory foods. So who couldn't benefit from that? In both of my books, the Autoimmune Solution and the Thyroid Connection, I have quizzes, and you can even go on my website and there's a free quiz as well. And that can help determine if you have adrenal fatigue. We have an adrenal quiz that you can take. There is testing that you can do. You can talk to your physician. Typically, it's the functional medicine physician that's going to do this, but it would be a saliva test to also test for adrenal fatigue as well. So I'm wondering if you're asking me that because of maybe you have a thyroid condition, and those are considered in some people's minds goitrogenic foods because they are cruciferous vegetables along with broccoli and cauliflower and kale. And to talk about that in the thyroid connection about, cooking them can often help with that, or increasing your iodine intake. But certainly I believe that it's far better to get the positive benefits and micronutrients and from broccoli than it is or broccoli sprouts. It's broccoli sprouts. I was saying Brussels sprouts, I believe, but broccoli sprouts. I don't have any reason to limit broccoli sprouts, but I thought the question was Brussels sprouts. Again, I'm working on not a lot of sleep here, folks. Sorry about that. But anyway, when it comes to the cruciferous vegetables, the benefits far outweigh any negativity regarding the thyroid. And I'll talk more about that in Thyroid Connection. If you're having issues with not having a bowel movement, and you're feeling constipated and your bowels aren't moving, I recommend magnesium citrate. If you are just looking for relaxation with magnesium, magnesium glycinate is your friend. I don't know any contraindication to staying on glutathione. Glutathione is a molecule that our body naturally makes, and it's our biggest detoxifier in our body. And, I was just giving a talk in Australia, actually, about autoimmunity. And I was saying that detox is not something we should be doing once or twice a week. Detox is something that we should be doing every day. So personally, I take glutathione every day. And, I don't know of any, of course I can't speak personally for people, but I don't know of any, negative side effect of taking glutathione.